So here's my issue. Shift, shift. It's very much delayed. Shift. Here, clinking. Delayed, delayed, delayed. And what I'm finding myself doing is double shifting down and then shifting up once. So it's delayed using the spring tension on the derailleur, which tells me there is either gummed up derailleur, gummed up cable, which I'm suspecting is what it is, or my shifter on the handlebars is gummed up. So the fix, scrub it all down. See that delay? Down. Yeah, that's my problem. Let's go fix it. Number one, it's got to get cleaned up. So I lost audio when I moved down into the basement, so I'm going to do a voiceover. So the first thing I do is disconnect the locking bolt for the cable on the derailleur. Then I'll slide that guy out. With the cable off, I'll make sure that it's in the highest gear. So on my bike, that's gear 9. With the derailleur in gear 9 and the shifter in gear 9, I start pushing on the cable at the derailleur. I push that out so I can grab hold of it and pull it all the way out. I was really surprised at how gummed up and gooey this cable was. The end of it was pretty frayed as well. Look how nasty this thing is. With the cable out, it's time to take the chain off. Pop that off. And then there's a good little tip. You can always take the chain off the chain ring in order to take the tension off. Because I'll usually end up dropping those missing links and then spend a little bit of time searching around for them. Of course, that happened again even here. So after I found the missing links, I proceeded to unthread the chain from the rear cog set. So now I'll take the derailleur off and completely unscrew that. And usually what I'll do is drop the derailleur and the chain into a little bucket. This is one of those little plastic shoe buckets. So with it in that plastic box, I'll dump some Runaway chain degreaser. Really like this stuff. It's pretty friendly environmentally, biodegradable, and I think I can neutralize it pretty good with soap and water after. So chain's in there, the derailleur's in there. I'm letting the chain soak. Everything is kind of getting agitated as I scrub everything down, every pivot point, jockey wheels, the bearings on the jockey wheels, the springs in the derailleur. I really spend a lot of time here. I cut quite a bit of this out. If you watch real close, that degreaser in the bottom of the bucket gets muddier and muddier as I kind of swirl everything around and scrub everything off. Once I'm feeling pretty good about the derailleur, checking the jockey wheels, making sure everything's spinning well, making sure the chain's in good shape, and I'm stirring that around, agitating fully that chain. I will clean up my tools. I think I actually used my metal brush on this as well. The jockey wheels had that built up gunk on it, so made sure everything was clean. Started really wiping stuff down. Wipe down my brushes next, and kind of neutralized everything with some soapy water. I always have soapy water sitting around to wash stuff off. If you've got a bike shop at home, a little bit of water in a spray bottle with some soap in it. I like to put just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in there, along with a little bit of dishwashing detergent in that water. Think like a capful. Doesn't take much. Spray it all down, clean it off, make sure it's neutralized with that degreaser, And then before I put everything back on the bike, I put some tri-flow on all of the pivot points, the springs, make sure everything's turning smooth again. Every little joint, every little metal piece gets a dab of tri-flow. Use quite a bit of this at the shop, and I use a lot of it at home as well. With that wrapped up, a little bit of grease on the threads for the dropout, and then grease on the derailleur threads, and I bolt our derailleur back in place. Make sure your tab on the back of the derailleur is lining up with the dropout step there as well. You want to make sure that is on there good. Now be careful that you don't over tighten the derailleur. I've seen these stripped quite a bit. You can get them too tight. Alright, tri-flow goes into the housing back by the derailleur, and then I'll quickly shift up to the handlebars and liberally apply some tri-flow on there as well. You can see there I've got ferrule ends. They're metal ferrule ends with a plastic liner in them. Fallen in love with those, especially when it comes to shifters. Having a metal ferrule kind of tighten things up. So got our new shifter cable out. Again, liberally spreading some tri-flow on that, just letting it drip down on there. I got a nasty old carpet underneath here, so I'm sure it smells like tri-flow at this point. Spread it with my fingers, and then I get to test my eyesight by threading it into the shifter again. So I'll get it through the shifter and put my ferrule end on. So here I am, testing my eyes. Once you leave that shifter in that number 9 position, when you took it out, should line up again pretty quickly. Ferrule end goes on, and then start threading it into the housing. Now, I'm probably, if I was to be like completely thorough, changing out the shifter housing would have been a good idea, but I skipped it this time. So zip, we got the shifter cable coming out back by the derailleur. At this point, I'll put a ferrule end on. This one is metal, but it's also got like a rubber boot on it. Helps keep the dirt and goo out of the cable. This has been pretty good for me. So into the derailleur, thread that guy around. Make sure I don't kink anything to begin with. And then thread it into or under the locking bolt. And then once I get that done, I'll pull it, but I don't yank the crap out of it, right? I just try to pull it taut, but a little bit of slack in there, just a little bit. Let's say 1/8 of an inch. I want to make sure that derailleur will bump back down onto the limits, not on the cable. I don't want the cable to stop in that low position. I want the derailleur limits to stop it. So lately I've been getting in the habit of just rolling up my cable. Time for the chain. I don't think I drop it, the missing link that is, when I'm putting it back on, but that usually will happen as well. So thread it through our derailleur without, making sure I don't put it on top of that little flange in there. If you hear a lot of clinking and clunking on your derailleur, it's usually because you put the chain over that tab on the derailleur. On goes the missing links, master links, whatever you want to call it there. You can pop off the chain from the chain ring, put that on, made them together and give it a pretty good tug. I find kind of a back and forth snapping action will put it on pretty quickly. Pulling the derailleur down to put the chain on. We got it in place. At this point, I will lube it up. I'm a very liberal applier of chain lube. If you can see, I'm dripping it all over the tire. I'll go around 2 or 3 times on the chain. It will collect on my tire, get all dirty and nasty. I just washed everything off to bring it down into the basement, so might as well keep it clean. So the chain's lubed. It's time to give this thing a little bit of a twist for the first time. I will run up and down the gears real quick. I quickly noticed that it needs some tension, so I put about a turn and a half of tension back in, and it starts working out pretty good at this point. So I cycled through everything, confirmed it was snapping down the way I like. Got to the point of saying it's good, so let's wrap this guy up. All right, I gotta apologize about the audio, but we're gonna button this up with a quick recap of what we did. I replaced the cable, I cleaned the derailleur, I cleaned the chain, and then re-indexed. Probably the big things that corrected this whole issue is replacing that cable and then lubing up our housing. It's going to be what fixed this guy. Now, I ride in a bunch of dusty, dirty conditions, so if you remember the way this bike looked at the beginning, keeping things clean is going to also help improve the longevity of this whole system. So over here is a video that YouTube says you're going to love, and over here is my subscribe button. Love it if you would subscribe. As always, keep pedaling and enjoy the ride.